শচীসুত গৌরা হরি অগনবদ্বীপে অবতরী শচীসুত গৌরা হরি অগনবদ্বীপে
Hari Bol, everyone. Please accept my pranams and welcome back. Or if you're new here, my name is Madhukar Das, and every Sunday we are going through a new chapter of Sri Caitanya-bhāgavata. I'll keep this intro short because this chapter is long and I'm trying to keep these videos under an hour. So just a quick recap of the previous 3 chapters. The first chapter of Caitanya-bhāgavata, Ādi-khaṇḍa, is called Sri Gaura Lila Sutra, a synopsis of Gaura's pastimes. It begins with Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's Mangalacharan, and then many verses, like half of the chapter, are describing the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, Baladev Prabhu, and Ananta Shesh. And then after that, the second half of the first chapter, we got a brief summary, kind of like the table of contents for the entire Caitanya-bhāgavata. The second chapter is called Prabhur Janma, the appearance of the Lord. In the first half of the second chapter, we read about the associates of the Lord who appeared before him, the sad state of Navadvip at that time, and the devotees' distress on seeing the condition of the people, especially Advaita Acharya, who, through his loud calling, caused the Lord to descend. In the second half of the second chapter, there's a very brief description of Nityananda Prabhu's advent, and then a more detailed description of Mahaprabhu's advent. The third chapter is called Prabhur Koshti Ganan, calculation of the Lord's horoscope. The father of Shachi Devi, Nilambar Chakravarti, calculated the Lord's horoscope, and another Brahmin in the assembly, he described 13 qualities of Nimai. And then there is a beautiful description of all the festivities that happens that day. Today we're reading the fourth chapter, which is called, there's 3 topics, Prabhur Nam Karan, the name-giving ceremony of the Lord, Bal Charita, the childhood pastimes of the Lord, and Chor Apaharan, the thieves kidnapping Nimai. Oh, and just so you know, these Bengali titles that I've been mentioning, they aren't the actual chapter names. The chapters don't originally have titles. They just say Pratham Adhyay, first chapter, Dvitiya Adhyay, second chapter, and so on. But in Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada's edition of Caitanya-bhāgavata, at the beginning of the book, he writes the topic of each chapter. So that's what I've been going through, and hopefully sometime we can learn them and memorize them, the topics in these videos. So in this chapter, we'll read about the pranks the demigods played in the house of Shachimata, and then there are 3 different parts of this chapter that describe the Lord's frequent crying in order to induce everybody to chant. It caught on that the only way that he would stop was through Harinam. When Nimai was only 4 months old, when he was left alone, he would scatter all the rice, the wheat everywhere, and he'd break the pots, he would pour milk and ghee all over, and then before everyone would return back, he would lay down like a baby, and no one would know what had happened, because at this point, I'm not even sure if he was crawling in front of anyone yet. Or maybe, but it describes the crawling later on. Then we'll read about the name-giving ceremony, in which the ladies named him Nimai, and the scholars named him Vishwambar. We'll read about when Nimai caught hold of a snake and lay down on it. The snake was actually Ananta Shesh. And then when Nimai begins to walk, man, oh man, all the mischief he created. We will read about how he would run in and out of people's homes. If he couldn't find anything to take, he'd break all the pots, or he would make the babies cry. And if he got caught, he'd fall at the person's feet, begging for forgiveness and begging for the person to release him. At the end of the chapter, we'll read the story of the 2 thieves that tried to kidnap him, but they actually ended up just giving Nimai a free shoulder ride home. So, let's begin with Mangalacharan. Ajnanatirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ajanulambita bhujo kanakavadato sankirtanaikapitaro kamalaya Vishwambharo Dvijavaro Yugadharmapalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Namastrikala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya Cha Sabhrityaya Saputraya Sakalatrayate Namaha Avatirno Sakarunyo Parichino Sarishvaro Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Dvau Bhrataro Bhaje Sajayati Vishuddha Vikrama Kanakabha Kamalayate Kshana Varajanu Vilambishar Bhujo Bahudha Bhakti Rasabhinartaka Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishveshamurter Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam Adeshi Chaitanya Priya Goshtir Charane Ashesha Prakare Mor Danda Paraname Tabe Bando Shri Krishna Chaitanya Maheshwar Navadvipe Avatar Nama Vishwambhar Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Devi Tvang Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakamattaranga Madhe Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanang Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The glories of Sri Caitanya-bhāgavata and Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi-lila, chapter 8, verses 33 to 42. Ore mura lokshuno Chaitanya Mangal Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Besakal Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Veda Vyas Chaitanya Lilar Vyas Vrindavana Dasa Koilo Chaitanya Mangal Jahara Shavane Nashe Sarva Amangal Chaitanya Nitar Jate Jani Mahima Jate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Sima Bhagavate Jato Bhakti Siddhanter Sar Likhiya Chen Iha Jani Koriya Udhar Caitanya-mangala shune jaripa shanti javan, Seho Mahavaishnava hoy tatakon. Manushe rachite nare aiche granta dhanya, Vrindavana dasa mukhe vakta Shri Caitanya. Vrindavana dasa pare koti namaskar, aiche granta korite ho tarila sangsar. Narayani Chaitanyer uchishta bhajan, Tar garbe janmila Shri Dasa Vrindavan. Tar ki arbhuta Chaitanya charita varnan, Jahara shravan nishuddha koilo tribhuvan. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 4-5. Sahaje vichitra madhur Chaitanya vihar, Vrindavana dasa mukhe amritera dhar. Shri Caitanya-bhāgavata, Ādi-khaṇḍa, Chapter 4. Name-giving ceremony, childhood pastimes, and thieves kidnap the Lord. Prabhur Nam Karan, Bal Charita, and Chora Paharana. Jaya Jaya Kamala Nayana Gora Chandra, Jaya Jaya Tomar Premer Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to the lotus-eyed Lord Gaurachandra. All glories to your devotees who are filled with pure love of God. Heno Shubha Drishti Prabhu Koroho Amayai, Aharnisha Chitta Jeno Bhajaye Tomai. O my Lord, please cast your glance of causeless mercy on me, so that my minds may worship you day and night. Heno mate prakasha hoilo Gaura Chandra, Shachi grihe dine dine badaye ananda. In this way, Shri Gaurachandra advented, and the happiness in the house of Shachi increased day by day. Putrer Shri Mukha dekhi Brahmani Brahman, Ananda sagare dohe bhase anukhan. Seeing their son's beautiful face, the Brahmana couple constantly floated in an ocean of bliss. Baire dekhiya Vishwarupa Bhagavan, Hasiya koren kole anander dham. When the most powerful Vishwarup would see his brother, the reservoir of pleasure, he would smile and take him on his lap. Jotta apta varga ache sarva parikare, aharnisha sabe thaki balake abare. All the relatives and friends of the Lord's family would gather around the child both day and night. Vishnu rakha pore keho devi rakha pore, mantra pori ghar keho chari dige bede. Some would recite mantras invoking Lord Vishnu's protection, and some would recite mantras invoking Goddess Durga's protection. Others would chant mantras while circumambulating the house. Tavat kanden Prabhu kamala lochan, Hari nama shunile rohen tatakhan. Whenever the lotus-eyed Lord cried, he would stop only upon hearing the chanting of the names of Hari. Parama sanketa e sabhe bhujilen, Kandile Hari Nam sabhe loyen. As everyone came to understand this great mystery, they would all begin to chant the names of Hari whenever the Lord cried. Sarva loke abariya thake sarva khan, Kautuka karoye je rasik devagan. While the Lord was constantly surrounded by people, some mischievous demigods played pranks on them. Kona deva alakhite grihete sambhai, Chaya deki sabe bole ei chor jai. One of them secretly entered the Lord's house, and when the people saw his shadow, they exclaimed, "There goes a thief!" Narasingha, Narasingha, keho kore dvani, aparajitar stotra karo mukhe shuni. Someone chanted, Nrsimha, Nrsimha, and someone offered prayers to Aparajita, goddess Durga. Nana mantre keho dasha dik bandha kore, uthilo parama kala rava shachi ghare. Someone else would protect the 10 directions by mantra. In this way, a commotion arose in the house of Mother Shachi. Prabhu dheki griher bahire deva jai, sobe bole e mata ase o palai. As the demigod left the house after seeing the Lord, everyone exclaimed, "There he goes!" Keho bole dharo dharo e chor jai, Nrsimho Nrsimho keho dakaye sadai. Someone said, "Catch him! Catch him! There goes the thief!" Someone else repeatedly chanted, "Nrsimha! Nrsimha!" Kona ojha bole aji edaili bhalo, na janis Nrsimher pratapa vishala. One exorcist said, "You are lucky you escaped today. You do not know the great power of Lord Nrsimhadev." Shekhane thaki deva hase alakhite, paripurna hoilo mase ka e mate. The demigods who were secretly standing there watching everything began to laugh, and in this way 1 month passed. Balaka uthana parve jotto narigan, Shachi sange ganga snane korila gaman. On the occasion of the child's coming out of the maternity room, the ladies accompanied Shachi Devi for bath in the Ganges. Vadya Gita kola hole kori ganga snan, age ganga puji tobe gela shashti stan. As they went for bath, they sang and played musical instruments. They first worshipped the Ganges, and then they went to worship Shashti. Jathavidi puji sava dever charan, ailen grihe pari purna narigan. After properly worshipping the feet of all the gods, the ladies returned home feeling satisfied. Koi kola toilo sindur guapan, sabare dilen ai koriya saman. Mother Shachi then respectfully distributed roasted paddy, bananas, mustard oil, vermilion, betel nut, and pan to the ladies. O balakere ashishiya sarvanarigan, cholilen grihe bandi air charan. All the ladies then blessed the child, offered obeisances to Mother Shachi, and departed for their respective homes. Heno mate boise prabhu apana lilai, ke tane janite pare jadi na janai. In this way, the Lord performed his pastimes. Who can understand them unless they are inspired by the Lord? Koraite chahe prabhu apana kirtan, etar arthe kore prabhu saghane rodhan. The Lord wanted everyone to chant his holy names, so he cried frequently. Joto joto prabodha karo ye narigan, prabhu puna puna kori karo ye krandan. The more the ladies would try to pacify the Lord, the more he would cry. Hari Hari boli jadi dake sarva jane, Tabe Prabhu hasi chana Shri Chandra vadane. But as soon as they chanted the name of Hari, the Lord would smile and look at them with his moon-like face. Janiya Prabhur chitta sarva jana meli, Sadai bolen Hari diya karatali. Knowing the heart of the Lord, everyone continually chanted the name of Hari while clapping their hands. আনন্দে করয়ে সবে হরি সংকীর্তন হরি নামে পূর্ণ হইল সাচির ভবান. Everyone happily performed congregational chanting of the name of Hari, and thus Shachi's house became filled with the sound of the holy name of Hari. এই মতো বৈশে প্রভু জগন্নাথ ঘরে গুপ্ত ভাবে গোপালের প্রায় কেলি করে. As the Lord resided in the house of Jagannath Mishra, he secretly performed pastimes similar to those of Gopal Krishna. যে সময় যখন না থাকে কেহ ঘরে যে কিছু থাকে ঘরে সকল ভিথারে ভিথারিয়া সকল ফেলায় চারি ভিতে সর্বঘর ভরে তৈল দুগ্ধ ঘোল ঘৃতে. Whenever there was no one home, the Lord would scatter things here and there, and then pour oil, milk, buttermilk, and ghee on the floor. Janani aise heno janiya apane, shayane achen prabhu koren rodane. When he understood that his mother was coming, he would lie down and begin to cry. Hari Hari boliya santvana kore mai, ঘরে দেখে সব দ্রব্য গড়াগড়ি যায়. In order to pacify the crying child, Mother Shachi would chant the name of Hari. Then she noticed the big mess in the room and inquired, কে ফেলিল সর্বগৃহে ধান্য চালু মূর্খা ভাণ্ডের সহিত দেখে ভাঙ্গ দধি দুগ্ধ. Who has scattered this paddy, rice, and dal all over the house? She also noticed that the pots of yogurt and milk had been broken. সবে চারি মাসের বালক আছে ঘরে কে ফেলিল হেন কেহ বুঝিতে না পারে. No one could understand who had scattered everything about. There was only the 4-month-old child at home. সব পরিজনা আসি মিলিল তথায় মনুষ্যের চিহ্ন মাত্র কেহ নাহি পায়. All the relatives came there, but they were also unable to find a trace of who had done it. কেহ বলে দানব আসিয়াছিল ঘরে রক্ষা লাগি শিশুরে নারিল লঙ্ঘি ভারে. Someone said, some demon must have come, but he was unable to attack the child due to the protective mantras. শিশু লঙ্ঘি ভারে না পাইয়া ক্রোধ মনে অপচয় করি পলাইল নিজ স্থানে. Being unable to harm the child, he angrily made this mess and then fled away. Mishra Jagannath dekhi chitte boro dhanda daiva heno jani kichu na bolilo manda. Jagannath Mishra was very astonished to see the mess, but considering that it was an act of providence, he remained silent. Daive apachay dekhi dui jane chahe balake dekhiya kono dukha nahi rahe. In spite of the great wastage, Shachi and Jagannath forgot all their distress when they looked at the face of their son. এই মতো প্রতিদিন করে ন কৌতুক নামকরণের কাল হইল সম্মুখ. In this way, the Lord daily performed some mischief, and then the time for his name-giving ceremony arrived. নীলাম্বর চক্রবর্তী আদি বিদ্যাবান সর্ববন্ধু গণের হইল উপস্থান. All the learned persons headed by Nilambar Chakravarti, as well as all friends and relatives, came for the ceremony. মিলিলা বিস্তর আসি পতিব্রতাগণ লক্ষ্মী প্রায় দীপ্তা সবে সিন্ধুর ভূষণ. Many chaste women who were decorated with vermilion and as effulgent as Lakshmi, came for the ceremony. Nama thui bare sobe koren vichar, strigan boloye ek anye bole ar. Everyone considered what name should be given. The women suggested one name, and others suggested another name. Ihan aneka jeshta kanya putra nai, shesha je janmaye tar nama she nimai. The lady said, "Since you have lost many daughters, this last-born child should be named Nimai." Nimai ki jai! Bolen vidvan sab koriya vichar, eka naam yogya hoy tuite ihar. After due consideration, the learned scholars there suggested an appropriate name for the child. E shishu janmile matra sarva deshe deshe, durbhika guchilo brishti pailo krishake. They said, "Since this child was born, all the surrounding provinces have been devoid of famine, and the farmers have had sufficient rains. Jagat hoilo susta ihan janame, purve jeno prithvi dhorila narayane." Just as Lord Narayan previously delivered the earth, the entire world has become prosperous since the time of his birth. Ataiva ihana Shri Vishwambhara nam, Kuladipa Koshtiteo likhilo ihan. Therefore, this child should be named Shri Vishwambhar. This name is also given in his horoscope. Shri Vishwambhar ki jai! Nimai je bolilen pativrata gan, she nama dvitiya dakibe sarvajan. The name Nimai, suggested by the chaste ladies, will be his second name. Sarva shubha khana nama karana samaye, Ādi-khaṇḍa vera brahmana paraye. The occasion of the child's name-giving ceremony was most auspicious. The Brahmanas recited the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad-bhāgavatam, and the Vedas. Devanara gane koroye ekatra mangal, Hari dhani shankha ganta bajaye sakal. Both demigods and human beings chanted the name of Hari as conch shells were blown and bells were rung. Dhanya punti koi kari swarna rajatadi jata, dhori bar nimita saba koila upanita. In order to examine the child's preference, they kept paddy, a book, roasted paddy, money, gold, and silver in front of him. Jagannatha bole shuno pap Vishwambhar, jaha chitte loy taha doroho satvar. Jagannath Mishra said, "Listen, my dear Vishwambar, pick up whatever you find attractive." Shakala chariya prabhu Shri Sachinandan, Bhagavata dhoriya dilen alingan. Shri Sachinandan left everything aside and embraced the Srimad-bhāgavatam. Srimad-bhāgavatam ki jai! Pativrata gane jai, deyachari bhita, sabe bolen boro hoibe pandita. From all sides, the chaste ladies exclaimed, "Jai! Jai!" Everyone predicted that the child would become a great learned scholar. Keho bole shishu boro hoibe Vaishnava, alpa sarva shastrer janibe anubhava. Someone said, "This child will be a great Vaishnav. He will realize the purport of the scriptures in a short time." Jedike hasiya prabhu chana Vishwambhar, আনন্দে সিঞ্চিত হয় তার কলেবর. Whoever was blessed by Vishvambhar's smiling glance was filled with happiness. যে করয়ে কলে সে এড়িতে না জানে, দেবের দুর্লভে কোলে করে নারী গণে. Whoever took him on their lap did not like to put him down. In this way, the ladies held on their laps he who is rarely attained by the demigods. Prabhu je kande she khone narigan, hate tale diya kore hari sankirtan. Whenever the Lord cried, the women immediately clapped their hands and chanted the name of Hari. Shuniya nachen Prabhu koler upare, visheshe sakal nari Hari dhwani kore. As the Lord heard their chanting, he began to dance on their laps. This in turn inspired the ladies to chant with greater enthusiasm. Niravadi sabara vadane Hari naam, chale bolayen Prabhu heno ichatan. Everyone there continually chanted the names of Hari, for they were induced by the will of the Supreme Lord. Tana icha bina kona karma siddha nahe, Vede shastre bhagavate e tattva kohe. Without the Lord's will, no activities are successful. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature and the Srimad Bhagavatam. E mate koraya nija sankirtan, dine dine bare Prabhu Shri Shachinandan. In this way, the Supreme Lord Shri Shachinandan inspired everyone to chant his holy names as he grew up day by day. Janugati chale Prabhu parama sundar, kotite kinkini baje ati manohar. The crawling of the Lord was most beautiful, and the tinkling sound of the bells on his waist enchanted the minds of all. Parama nirbhaye sarva angane vihare, kiva agni sarpa jaha dekhe tai dhare. He fearlessly wandered throughout the courtyard and grabbed whatever he saw, even a fire or a snake. Ek dina ek sarpa badite bedai, dhorilen sarpe Prabhu balakalilai. One day, a snake entered the house, and the Lord caught hold of it in childish sport. Kundali koriya sarpa rohilo bediya, thakura thakila tar upare shuiya. The Lord then laid down on the coils of the snake. Ate vyate sabe dekhi hai hai kore, shuiya hasen Prabhu sarper upare. Seeing this, everyone immediately exclaimed, "Alas, alas!" But the Lord simply smiled as he lay on the snake. Garuda, Garuda boli dake sarvajan, Pita mata Ādi-bhaye koroye krandan. All the people there called out, "Garuda, Garuda!" And the Lord's parents cried out of fear. Chalila ananta shuni sabara krandan, Puna dhori bare jana Shri Shachinandan. Hearing everyone cry, Lord Ananta began to depart, but the son of Shachi tried again to grab him. Dhoriya aniya sabe korilen kole, Chirajivi ho kori nari gana bole. The ladies quickly caught hold of the Lord and took him on their laps, blessing him with the words, "Live a long life, Chirajivi ho." Keho rakha bande keho pore swastivani, Ange keho de Vishnu pado kaka ani. Someone tied a protective charm on him, and someone recited auspicious hymns. Someone else sprinkled charnamrita on him. কেহ বলে বালকের পুনর্জন্ম হইল, কেহ বলে জাতি সর্পতে না লঙ্ঘিল. Someone said, "This child has received a new life." And someone else said, "That was a special snake, and therefore it did not bite him." Hase Prabhu Gora Chandra sabare chahiya, puna puna jai sabe anen dhoriya. Lord Gaurachandra glanced on everyone present and smiled. He tried again and again to go catch the snake, but they repeatedly stopped him. Bhakti kori je esab ved gopya shune, sangsara bhujanga tare na kore langhane. Whoever hears these confidential topics with devotion will never be bitten by the snake of material existence. E mata dine dine Shri Sachinandan, hatiya karoye Prabhu angane brahman. In this way, Shri Sachinandan eventually began walking in the courtyard of the house. Jiniya kandarpa koti sarvanger rupa, chandir lagaye sadho dekhite she mukha. The Lord's beautiful form defeated the beauty of millions of cupids. Indeed, even the moon desired to see his face. Suvalita mastake chanchara bhala kesha, kamala nayana jeno gopaler vesha. The Lord's head was decorated with curling locks of hair, and with his lotus eyes, he looked just like Gopal. Ajanulambita bhuja aruna adhar, shakala lakhana jukta bakha parisar. The Lord's hands reached to his knees. His lips were reddish, his chest was broad, and he was decorated with all other auspicious symptoms. Sahaje aruna gora deho manohar, visheshe anguli kara charana sundar. The enchanting golden body of the Lord resembled the color of the rising sun, and his fingers, hands, and lotus feet were all beautifully formed. Balaka svabhave prabhu jabe chali jai, rakta pore heno dekhi maye trasa pai. As the Lord walked around just like a young child, his mother became frightened, thinking that his reddish feet were bleeding. Dekhi Shachi Jagannatha Baroy Vismita, Nirdhana Tathapi Donhe Maha Anandita. Seeing this, Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra became greatly astonished. Although they were poor, they were always joyful. Kana kani kore dohe nirjane boshiya, kono mahapurusha ba janmila asiya. One day, as they sat together in seclusion, they whispered to each other, "Some great personality has taken birth in our family." Heno bhuji sangsara dukher hoilo anta, janmilo amar ghare heno gunavanta. Since such a qualified person has taken birth in our house, perhaps our material distress will come to an end. Emona shishur riti kabu nahi shuni, nirabadi nache hase shuni hari dhwani. We have never before heard of such behavior in a child. He continually dances and smiles upon hearing the sound of the holy names. Tavat krandana kore prabodha namane, boro kori hari dhwani javat nashune. Whenever he cries, he is not pacified until he hears the loud chanting of the name of Hari. Ushakala hoile jate kanari gan, বালকে বেড়িয়া সবে করে sankirtan. In the morning, all the ladies would gather around the child and perform sankirtan. Hari boli nari gane de karatali, nache gora sundara balakat kutuhali. As they clapped their hands and chanted the name of Hari, Gora Sundar would enthusiastically dance. Gora gari jai prabhu dhulai dhusar, uthi hase jananir koler upar. The Lord would become covered with dust as he rolled on the ground, and then he would smile and climb onto the lap of his mother. Heno anga bhangi kori nache Gora Chandra, dekhiya sabar hoy atula ananda. Everyone felt incomparable happiness on seeing the various postures that Gaurachandra exhibited as he danced. Heno mate shishu bhabe hari sankirtan, korayen prabhu nahi bujhe kono jan. In this way, no one could understand how the Lord as a child induced others to chant the holy names. Niravadi dhai prabhu ki ghare bahire, parama chanchala keho dhorite na pare. The Lord constantly ran in and out of the house. He was so restless that no one could catch him. Ekeshwara badir bahire prabhu jai, koi kola sandesha ja deke tachai. Sometimes the Lord would go alone outside the house and ask people for whatever he saw, roasted paddy, bananas, or sandesh. Dekhiya prabhu rupa parama mohan, je jana nachine seho de tatakhon. Captivated on seeing the Lord's enchanting form, even strangers gave him whatever he requested. Sabe sandesha kola te jeno prabhure, paiye santoshe prabhu aise na ghare. They would give the Lord bananas and sandesh, and he returned home satisfied. Je shakala stri gane gayen hari naam, ta sabare ani sab koren pradan. He then distributed those items to the ladies who chanted the holy names. Balaker buddhi dekhi hase sarvajan, hate tali diya hari bole anukhan. Seeing the child's intelligence, everyone laughed and chanted Hari's names while clapping their hands. Ki bihane ki madhyane ki ratri sandhyai, niravadi badir bahire prabhu jai. The Lord went out of the house at any time of the day, whether morning, noon, afternoon, or night. Nikate vasaye jata bandhu varga ghare, pratidina kautuke apane churi kore. He regularly went to the neighboring friends' houses and playfully stole things. Karo ghare dugdha piye karo bhata khai, handi banghe jar ghare kichu nahi pai. He drank someone's milk, he ate someone else's rice, and he broke the pot if he could not find anything to take. Jar ghare shishu thake tahare kandai, keho dekhile matra uthiya polai. If there was a child in the house, or if there was a shishu, baby, if there was a baby in the house, the Lord made him cry. And if someone saw him, he ran away. Daiva yoge jadi keho pare dhari bare, tobe tar paye dhari kore parihare. If by chance the Lord was caught, he fell at the person's feet in order to gain release. এবার ছাড়া হো মোরে না আসিব আর আর যদি চুরি কোনো দোহাই তোমার Please leave me this time. I will not come again. I promise I won't steal again. দেখিয়া শিশুর বুদ্ধি সবে বিস্মিতা রুষ্ট নহে কেহ সবে করেন পীড়িতা Seeing the child's intelligence, everyone was astonished. They could not become upset. Rather, they loved him. নিজ পুত্র হইতেও সবে স্নেহ করে দর্শন মাত্র সর্বচিত্ত বৃত্তি হরে Everyone showed more affection to him than their own sons, for the Lord stole everyone's heart just by his presence. এই মতো রঙ্গ করে বৈকুণ্ঠের রায় স্থির নহে এক ঠাঁই বোলায়ে সদায় In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha performed his pastimes as he constantly wandered about. একদিন প্রভুর দেখিয়া দুই চোরে যুক্তি করে কার শিশু বেড়ায় নগরে One day, two thieves saw the Lord and contemplated, Whose child is this wandering alone in the streets? প্রভুর শ্রী অঙ্গে দেখি দিব্য অলঙ্কার হরিবারে দুই চোরে চিনতে পরখার They saw that the Lord was wearing costly ornaments, and they considered how they could steal them. Bap bap boli eka chore loilo kole, etokon kotha chile ar chor bole. One of the thieves took the Lord in his arms and said, My dear child. And the other thief said, Where have you been so long? ঝাট ঘরে আইসো বাপ বলে দুই চোরে হাসিয়া বলেন প্রভু চলো যায় ঘরে The thieves said, Come, let us go home. And the Lord smiled and said, Yes, let us go. আতে ব্যাতে কোলে করি দুই চোরে ধায় লোকে বলে যার শিশু সেই লই যায় The two thieves hurriedly carried the Lord away, as onlookers considered that they were taking their own son home. Arbuda arbuda loka keba kare chine, mahatushta chor alankar dharashane. There were millions of people in Navadvip, so who could recognize everyone? The thieves, meanwhile, were greatly satisfied to see the child's ornaments. কেহ মনে ভাবে মুই নিমোটার বালা এ মতে দুই চোরে খায় মন কলা One of them thought, I will take the bangles. And in this way, they both dreamt of their soon-to-be acquired riches. দুই চোর চলি যায় নিজ মর্মস্থানে স্কন্ধের উপরে হাসি জানো ভগবানে As the two thieves went towards their destination, the Lord smiled while riding on the thief's shoulder. এক জন প্রভুরে সন্দেশ দেই করে আর জনে বলে এ আইলায় ঘরে One of the thieves gave the Lord a piece of sandesh, and the other thief said, We're almost home. এই মতো বান্ডিয়া অনেক দূরে যায় হেতা যত আপ্তগণ চাহিয়া বেড়ায় In this way the thieves deceived the Lord. As they took him far away, the Lord's relatives began to search for him. কেহ কেহ বলে আইসো আইসো বিশ্বম্ভর কেহ ডাকে নিমায় করিয়া উচ্চ স্বর Someone called, Come, Vishwambar, come! Someone else loudly called, Nimai! পরম ব্যাকুল হইলেন সর্বজন জল বিনা যেন হয় মৎস্যের জীবন They all became overwhelmed like a fish out of water. Sabe sarva bhave loila govinda sharan, Prabhu loya jai chor apana bhavan. Everyone took full shelter of Lord Govinda, as the thieves took the Lord towards their house. Vaishnavi mayai chor pata nahi chine, Jagannatha ghare ailo nija ghara gyane. Being influenced by the Lord's illusory energy, the thieves lost their way and returned to the house of Jagannath Mishra while thinking that they had returned to their own home. Chor deke ailaya nija marmastane, alankar harite hoilo sabadhane. When the thieves thought they had returned to their own house, they prepared to steal the Lord's ornaments. Chor bole naam bapa ailaya ghar, Prabhu bole hoy hoy namao satvar. One of them said, "Please get down, my dear child. We have reached home." The Lord replied, "Yes, yes, put me down quickly." Jekhane shakala gane mishra jagannath, Vishara bhavin sabe mathe diya hath. Meanwhile, Jagannath Mishra and his associates held their heads in lamentation. Maya mugda chora thakurere she stane, Skandha hoite namailo nija ghara gyane. The thieves, illusioned by Maya, set the child down at that very place while considering that it was their own house. Namile matra prabhu gela pitri kole, Mahananda kori sabhe hari hari bole. The Lord immediately went to the lap of his father, and everyone chanted the name of Hari in great joy. Sabar hoilo anirvachaniya ranga, Prana asi deher hoilo jeno sanga. The people's condition was beyond description. It was as if their lives returned to their bodies. Apanara ghara nahe dekhe dui chore, Kotha ashi achi kichu chinite na pare. The thieves then realized that it was not their house, but they could not understand where they were. Gandagole keva kare avadhana kore, Chari dige chahi chor polai lo dare. In the middle of the commotion, no one saw what had happened. Thus, undetected, the thieves ran away in fear. Parama arbhuta dui chora mane gane, Chor bole bhelaki badilo ko na jane. Both the thieves thought, "How strange!" One of them said, "Did someone perform some magic on us?" Chandi rakhilen aji bole dui chore, Susta hoya dui chor kola kuli kore. They both concluded, "Goddess Chandi has saved us today." Then, after they regained their composure, they embraced each other. Paramarthe dui chor mahabhagyavan, Narayana jar skandhe korila uthan. In reality, the two thieves were most fortunate, for they had carried the Supreme Personality of Godhead on their shoulders. Etha sarva gane mane koren vichar, Ke anilo deha vastra shire bandhitar. In the meantime, everyone thought, "Who brought him back? Tie some new cloth on his head as a gift." Keho bole dekhilaya loko dui jan, Shishu thui kon dike korilo gaman. Someone said, "I saw two persons come here. They set the child down and then vanished." Ami ani achi kona jana nahi bole, Arbhuta dekhiya sabe porilen bhole. Since no one said, I brought him, everyone became perplexed. Sabe jigyasen bab ke hoto nimai, ke tomare anilo paya kon thai. They all asked Nimai, Dear child, please tell us who brought you here. Where did he find you? Prabhu bole ami giyachi nu Ganga tire, pata haraiya ami bedai nagare. The Lord replied, I went to the bank of the Ganges and then lost my way. Tabe dui jana ama kolete koria, kon pate e khane tuilo aniya. As I was wandering on the street, 2 strangers took me in their arms and brought me here. Shabe bole mithya kabho nahe shastra bani, daive rakhe shishu vridha anata apani. Everyone said, the statements of the scriptures cannot be false. It is said that children, as well as old and helpless people, are protected by providence. E mata vichar koren sarva jane, Vishnu maya mohe keho tattva nahi jane. In this way, the people considered what had happened, but they could not know the facts due to being illusioned by Lord Vishnu's illusory energy. E mata ranga kore vaikunte rai, ke tare janite pare jadi na janai. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha performed amazing pastimes. Who can understand those pastimes unless the Lord reveals them? Veda gopya e saba akhyan je shune, ta dridha bhakti hoy Caitanya charane. Whoever hears these topics, which are confidential to even the Vedas, will certainly attain firm devotion for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jan, Vrindavana Dasa Tachu Pada Juge Gan. Accepting Shri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Jai Nimai, Jai Nitai. Thank you for joining me in this reading. Before I end this video, I just want to quickly share a little news from my side here. 3 years ago, on the first day of Chaturmasya in the year 2020, we began a Srimad-bhāgavatam reading, which I've been live streaming on my personal YouTube channel every day. And now, we'll be completing that Srimad-bhāgavatam reading in just 2 days. The beginning of this next Chaturmasya, which is nearly a week away, I'm planning some more interactive daily online programs, like a Caitanya-bhāgavata study group, in which we'll go through the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And I'm thinking of doing a daily japa session, in which we'll go through the verses of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaja's Prapanna Jivanamrita, or maybe we'll read something else. And I'll also be doing daily Ashtakam recitals and other kirtans. If you'd like to take part in any of these online programs, then please subscribe to my mailing list at vineofdevotion.com. I'll be sending out the details there in a few days once I finalize them. Oh, and next Sunday, the day before Chaturmasya, we'll be reading about Nimai's beginning school, how extremely naughty he was, and Vishwarup taking sannyas. So, I'll see you then. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Nugagoriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Caitanya-bhāgavata Ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyaye Keshavasacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, everybody.